Hello and welcome back to episode 6 of the Tips and Tricks series. In today's video we will be focusing on the art of cornering. Now in this video I will show Marc Marquez gameplay at Sachsenring and you'll see an overlay of my controls. Now the main thing we'll be focusing on is the actual steering, so my left thumbstick. So I'll show you in a second in OBS my controller on screen. There'll be an overlay so you'll be able to follow it. Just take a good look at my controller movements of the thumbstick, so how I move it and what way it goes, because that is the key to accurate steering. So let's jump on track. So just mainly, like I said in the previous clip, watch my left thumbstick. That's where I steer it, and you'll notice a lot that I push forward on corner exit, and in corner entry, especially when braking, I lean back. So I use my thumbstick as if it's a real bike. I lean it with the bike. If you think of it as if it's a car game and you're going left to right, the small little movements in a bike will cause a lot on screen. So you'll see over the lap, and I have a lap as well in a Phillip Island as Alex Range, you'll see it in a second, but you can see coming into turn 1 at Sachsenring, I'm pointing it down into the bottom right. The more I get to the corner, the more I leave off the leaning back and turning in. We take a late apex. Basically an apex is when on track in a corner you come close to the white line, so just there, that's an apex. So this is a double apex corner. You take an early one, then you take a late one there. Sachsenring has a lot of double apex corners. This one here, Omega turn 3 is another one. So we apex just at the change of direction. Best line is to run it wide. You can see full lean the whole time, and as I get to the apex, just about here, I start to pick it up, and you can see I push the thumbstick forward, and I go in a circular motion. I don't go across, I go around, and that moves the rider forward, and I change direction. You'll see it a lot in my laps. So again, another kind of a double corner, so two apexes, apexing just there. And now I drifted all the way down into this fast left-hander downhill. You can see I'm leaning left, but just slightly forward, just trying to keep weight on it. And just here I lean full left as we enter turn 7. Apex there. Now I drift touch wide there, so I do have to shut the throttle, but I squared up here on the outside. Now coming down in here, you'll see leaning forward on braking, just taking the weight off the rear, then tipping in. So again, I don't jump from top to left, I kind of roll it in on the controller. Gives you much more precise movement. So again here, you're coming into this double apex, double corner. You're coming in with about 40-35 degrees of lean, so you're not fully leaned over. So it's very hard if you're to try and ride with not going up and down. I couldn't do it. I'd have to lean forward just so you can get more incremental movements on the controller. As you see through here, I'm pushing forward and picking the bike up. I'm turning very smoothly and very small amount of turning and angle, so just that I can be more precise in the corner. So again here, just leaning slightly forward, and as you get to the apex, full lean then, because you want the bike to turn as much from mid corner, then picking up the throttle and leaning forward. So again, I shift my left stick forward, pushes the weight forward, again into this last corner here, leaning back when I'm even in braking, and then slowly rolling it into the corner. And again, on exit, leaning forward, counteracts the wheelie, and you can be more precise on where you're placing the bike. And across line, a 1:18.7. Now, not amazing lap time. I wasn't really pushing for a lap, just wanted to get across the point. Sachsenring is a great track to show these techniques. So you can see here we start a lap in Phillip Island as Alex Rins. You'll see a lot more of these leaning forward motions. So you can see coming out of the last corner as I push the bike out to the outside of the track, I'm at full lean forward with a small bit of left lean, so I'm going slightly left but mainly pushing forward on the thumbstick, and that really is the key to riding in MotoGP, and even in car games I do it because you get much more precise movement on the controller. You can see in the braking, leaning back, basically putting weight on the back tyre, and then I roll off the weight on the back and roll it into full 60-65 degrees of lean through turn 1. You can see again, flicking the ride over, so I go up and over to keep the weight on the front. And through here now, it doubles, so again, apex early and you run out wide. Mid corner, then you kind of just pick up the throttle just to steer it with the rear, bring it back for a second and late apex there. And then you power out. Far out the curb. So again, you can just see me picking up the bike on screen, and then you can see our controller. The input is exactly on time. I pick up the thumbstick, push it forward. Same thing here, just throw it in and then have a small bit of lean forward as well as leaning on to the left. And you can see again in braking, you'll see I'm leaning forward, just putting weight on the front. And then as we just get towards the heavier braking, I start to tip in. So you can do many different things with your controller or thumbstick. It can affect your braking, accelerating. It's not just cornering, it affects it all. With all my tips videos, they all kind of tie back into each other to improve in everything, every aspect. So again, we're at full lean, taking early apex, running a slightly wide here, and then we'll just square it back just there for the late apex. So a lot of these long corners in this video are double apexes. So through this sector here, you take 2 late apexes here just to keep the fastest line. So just apexing there, and you'll see, give it a second, I get a bit small of a bobble here, but I still hit a late apex. And then you see, look, just watch the thumbstick there, you see I'll pick it up and roll over instead of straight across, just to keep the weight forward. And then coming into this corner here, just slightly leaning forward on the thumbstick. And as we go out wide, back to second gear here, and then you bring it in tight, basically apexing there. And you'll see in braking here now, with my left stick, it jumps back. Basically put the weight on the rear of the bike as I go down the hill, and I steer in while leaning back. Now it will feel awkward at first trying to do this. It's actually quite funny myself watching back my own footage to see what I do. It's quite weird to see what you're doing because you don't think you do it, but it's a natural feel of what I do with the controller. But again, as I come out of the corner, I'm leaning forward while turning the bike. I run out to the curb, I get a bit of a moment on the curb, run wide, but I turn the bike in much earlier than now, and then I kind of slowly pick it up and drift it through turn 12 in the final corner. See again here, so you see me just picking the bike up to the fatter part of the rear tyre. You can see with my thumbstick, it kind of rolls 90 degrees up to the top of it, just so it gets the weight across the rider, and there's no flicking movements, there's no wobblings and bobblings everywhere. So I hope you enjoyed episode 6 of the Tips and Tricks series on the art of cornering. Now, just before I end this video, I just want to say quick words about Jason Dupasquier. Unfortunately, he's had a horrible accident on the exit of Arrabbiata 2 in qualifying 1 today at Mugello, and he was on the track for half an hour receiving medical attention, and since has been taken to hospital and is currently in surgery from my knowledge. Now, I just want to say my thoughts and prayers are with him and his family, and hope he makes a full recovery. But some horrible images today of him stricken in the track. He, from what I understand, has been hit by another rider, and Ayoma Sasaki hit his bike, and I think the other rider involved was Jeremy Alcoba. From my understanding, the two of them have minor injuries, but there aren't anything serious. But I do fear the worst for Jason, and I hope he makes a full recovery. So on that sad note, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in a video in the not so distant future. Bye bye.